Let's do The Leisure Seeker, directed by Paolo Verzi and adapted from a book by Michael Zadurian. The director previously made things like Human Capital and Like Crazy. This stars Helen Mirren and Donald Sutherland. They are an aging couple, Ella and John. And at the very, very beginning of the film, one of their children turns up at their house. There's meant to be a hospital appointment. They're not there. And nor, indeed, is The Leisure Seeker. The Leisure Seeker is a vehicle in which they have travelled the country, we call it an RV, a recreational vehicle, in which they have previously had great adventures. And it very soon becomes apparent that what they've done is that they have taken the RV and they have headed off on an adventure. Their children are trying to, get in touch. Where are you? He said, no, we're doing something. They are both slightly fragile. They are both in slightly failing states. Helen Mirren's character is dealing with a physical, with an illness which is particularly... Okay, she is dealing with a physical illness. Donald Sutherland's character is dealing with dementia, which comes and goes, and it comes and goes in a quite sort of cinema-friendly way. In that, one minute he will be completely lucid, and the next minute he won't know where he is or who his wife is. And she is essentially trying to manage the fact that he is coming in and out of the present and the past. Like, one minute he'll be there, and the next minute he won't be. And when he's lucid, he's completely lucid. He can remember the details of. He can remember lengthy Ernest Hemingway quotes. He can remember students that he taught many, many years ago, and the next thing he'll say, where am I? Meanwhile, they are headed on a mission, headed towards Key West, headed off on a journey of discovery that is also clearly a kind of elegiac journey. Here's a clip.
Check it out. 75, Winnebago Indian.
It's a gift from my parents. I named it the Leisure Seeker. My husband hated it at first. He thought it was kind of low class. But he kind of got used to it. We've had a lot of wonderful trips in this old rust bucket.
Look at this old beauty, babe.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
So have you folks been on the road long?
No, we just started. We're headed south down to where I grew up, between Charleston and Savannah.
Oh, it's so beautiful down there.
It is. It's beautiful. We'd always go there on vacation, but this time we're going further south, all the way to the Florida Keys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm finally taking John to see Hemingway's house in Key West. You ever been there?
No, we haven't.
Hemingway was a Confederate general, right?
No, silly, he was a writer. Didn't he commit suicide?
He did, and I never understood why.
And it is a screenplay which is full of those kind of moments, those kind of, honk, flag, wave moments. It's also, as you can probably hear from that clip, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Helen Mirren, but every now and then that particular accent just takes a little detour. It's an odd movie, and I have to say that I wasn't won over by it, largely because I wasn't convinced by the characters. Essentially what happens is that as they are doing this journey, they're also doing a journey through their past lives. And you have a portrait of a couple who are, clearly in love, clearly have history. Each has their own secrets. Donald Sutherland's character is increasingly obsessed with the idea that his wife is actually still obsessed with a boyfriend of whom she hasn't heard in absolutely years, but because he is sort of winding back into his past, this idea is becoming more and more prevalent. And there's a moment in it which she says to him, "Where have you gone?" And when it's at its best, it manages to capture that idea of somebody being present and absent at the same time, somebody drifting in and out of the present, somebody being, losing themselves in the past. It's also, and I was thinking this afterwards, it's also a film in which it doesn't shy away from all the harsh physical realities of the issues that it's dealing with. I mean, we've seen films before in which we've had characters with Alzheimer's, and anybody who's got experience of loved ones with Alzheimer's will know that it's such a strange it's such a strange illness. It manifests itself in so many strange ways, and everyone I've spoken to, everyone has similar but very different experiences of the way in which it manifests itself. And there are very few movies that manage to capture those things quite rightly without feeling like a cinematic contrivance. There are certain things that it gets right. However, I have to confess that I did spend most of the film thinking, I'm not watching these two characters. I'm watching two actors who I admire playing these two characters, and the fact that that's what I'm thinking means to me that the material with which they're working isn't good enough for me to be completely subsumed. It's a film which doesn't simply flirt with cliche, it positively marries it. And it was described somewhere, I think, in one of the posters, as being a tearjerker. And that's absolutely what it's playing to. It's looking to be emotionally. I don't have a problem with the film being emotionally manipulative, but my thing is, if you're going to be manipulative, do it properly, do it effectively, do it in a way which completely engrosses me and completely wins me over. Don't do it in a way which makes me think, how much more of this journey have we got to get to before that thing happens, and how much more of this journey have we got to get to before that thing happens. The one thing I would say about it is, in one of the supporting roles as the son is Christian Mackay, who I am a really big fan of. Christian Mackay was in Me and Orson Welles, in which he played Orson Welles. I think he's a brilliant actor, and he's got a small but important supporting role in this film. And I thought every minute that he was on screen, the film sort of shifted up a gear. And part of me actually felt I would rather spend time with his character on the other end of the phone, trying to find out what's happened to the two main characters, rather than being with the two main characters, occasionally being interrupted by the phone call. I remember Kim Newman once said this. He said it's the great film critic curse of watching a film about people and going, yeah, that's great, but actually the one I'm interested in is what's happening to that person over there. I did get that. It did feel very, very mechanical. And as I said, the key thing was I never felt I was watching these characters. What I felt was I was watching people I admire playing these characters and not being convinced by them. But that's not to say that it's not without. I mean, it has a certain integrity, and it's clearly it's quite heartfelt, but clumsy about it in a way which is oddly unsatisfying.
What's it called again?
It's called, sorry, but the name's gone completely. It is called The Leisure Seeker, and it's which is strangely enough, because it's the name of the vehicle, but it's one of those.
Like it should star Liam Neeson. The title is
He's the Leisure Seeker.
Ironically.